Hey Tally, what dungeon are we doing?
Oh, hi Evie. This is really awkward, sorry, but I'm actually kind of already in the middle of a dungeon right now with my buddies.
Oh really? You have buddies?
Yeah, I have buddies.
Who are your buddies?
My friends from Exile's Reach.
Wait, you mean the NPCs?
Don't let them hear you call them that, Evie. That is so rude.
You're running a follower dungeon.
Well, yeah, I'm leading a follower dungeon. The computer control guys are just filling out the numbers.
It kind of looks like they're doing all the work, honestly.
Don't be silly. This group is nothing without me. Yeah, keep killing the boss, buds. Great work.
What's that?
What?
Tally, did your follower group just vote to kick you?
What? No. I mean, actually, it does look like that's what's happened, yeah. That must be a bug. That can't be right. Hey, Captain Garrick, I think you just accidentally voted to kick me instead of passing on all the loot like I told you to.
Yeah, Tally, it's not working out, dude.
You might want to go back to the starting zone, get some more experience.
Yeah, that's gotta be a bug. I better report that bug. Do you want to run a dungeon?
I've actually just remembered I'm busy.
Knowledge is power.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to the weekly reset. Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show in a week where, yeah, I know there has been other stuff happen, like the revealed vote for your class tier set appearances, and set bonuses for the fated Season 4, and the new 6-month sub Dragon Tree mount thing, which I still haven't got, even though I have an active year-long sub, Blizz, but yeah, whatever. The fact that Mythic Tindral has been absolutely decimated with nerfs, meaning that the Hall of Fame might actually fill up finally, and that's all very well and good. But this episode is dedicated to one thing, and one thing only. The new, not a major patch, but it feels like a disservice to call it a minor patch. It's patch 10.2.5, Seeds of Renewal, and everything in it, because 10.2.5 is here. Congratulations, fam. You made it. You lived to see the day, and you can tell your grandkids that you were here. You saw Seeds of Renewal with your own eyes, and your grandkids will be like, whoa, no way, grandparent. That's so cool. What was it like? And you can just show them this video. It'll be quicker than explaining it, and then you get more time to spend creating new precious memories with your grandkids. That's an incredible gift we've given you there. And you know, when I say everything in 10.2.5, that's not quite true. Because A, there's some teeny tiny stuff that we can't be bothered mentioning, like improved snapping in edit mode and new icons on very specific maps and things we just don't have time to talk about even though we just did. And also B, we are recording this before the patch goes live, and like everybody else who has recorded video about this patch before it goes live, we don't actually know everything in it. Either because it's encrypted secret stuff, or weirdly unfinished or untestable stuff. Or even, and it's so cool that you can basically never rule this out with Dragonflight, some surprise stuff that we haven't even been told about because it's a surprise! And that does tend to happen this expansion, doesn't it? So instead of claiming to be an exhaustive list of new stuff in Seeds or Soar, here is our top 10 favorite things about the patch, along with a smattering of stuff that sucks for real though, because this is the internet after all.
So what is the actual new stuff you'll be able to do in Seeds of Renewal? Well, some we know and some we know of. There's at least 2 new quest lines that we know of in the patch, both of which have not been available for testing on the PTR. The Retaking of Gilneas will see players teaming up with Gen and Tess Greymane and Kalia Menethil and Lillian Voss to clear out the Scarlet Crusade from the abandoned capital and reinstate it in the name of the Alliance. But also kind of the Horde though, because thanks Horde for the help, which is very much appreciated, and that's not my words. Oh god, please understand it's not my words, okay? But the words of the forums, who were universally thrilled that not only would the city become playable and livable and the center of all things Cockney and Wolfy, but that it would be done with the help of the Forsaken. You know, the Forsaken, the ones who invaded the city in the first place and killed loads of Gilneans, including Gen's son Liam, and who used Blight, which, okay, I don't think Azeroth has an official war crimes definition charter, but if it did, then Blight would definitely be a war crime. And look, in the footage that the official WoW YouTube channel shows us in Kalani's preview of the patch, the Forsaken are still using Blight, but on the Scarlet Crusade this time, which I think makes it okay? Like, I think the Gilneans will be absolutely fine with that because we're all friends now. That's what the forums agree on anyway. Great times. No, it was a shit show, obviously.
Reclaiming Gilneas with the Forsaken is like spitting on Liam's memory. The only reason the Forsaken should be involved in the Retaking Gilneas questline is because we're running them to their graves. Current writing team knows nothing of faction and race identity. Hi Blizz, here's my address so you can just come shit in my mouth personally next time, Fumala.
I want to say I am sympathetic to Worgen players not really wanting to share their moment of glory and catharsis with the very faction who chased them out in the first place. That makes sense, honestly, from like a personal point of view. And I think part of the problem here is that this Reclaiming Gilneas story beat is coming like a decade too late to tie up in a satisfying way. So now we have to put the Scarlet Crusade in there as a random universal enemy, and yeah, I get it. But I've got to say that the joy of taking back the city and having all those happy Worgen wandering around in their little hats and saying "Core blimey" and just living their best goth Victorian lives pretty much outweighs anything else. So yeah, I can accept that the whole point of the Forsaken now is that they are finding their own path anew after Sylvanas. I can accept that lots of the current Forsaken are ex-Gilnean citizens raised by Sylvanas' Valkyr after the invasion who, you'd have to say, have a right to fight for it back. However the quest plays out, we'll also be getting transmog and a new mount from the questline, and I know most of you will already know what that is by the time you watch this video, but I have to say, it's definitely time for the carriage. Carriage time is now, Blizz. Give us the damn carriage. And while we're here, no better time to give us the damn tails too. There's also the rather more mysterious Dragonflight Epilogue quests, which we know even less about, but which Blizz use a picture of Vyrnoth and Iridikron for on their promotional materials. Kalani's official Blizzard video also kind of randomly mentions the Whispers of the World Soul and the Harbinger out of nowhere, so it seems likely that it could be part of this too. Might we get our first sighting of the new Xal'atath in the wild? Will we be getting the return of Malfurion? You know, Malfurion. One thing seems certain. At least one of these quests is going to include at least a sweet new in-game cutscene or two, and if we're really lucky, a full cinematic too. If the epilogue really is going to kick off the World Soul saga properly, as the WoW video hints, then maybe, and look, I know this is dumb, okay, but maybe the first in a new series of Sourfang-style super cinematics? I know that's silly, that would never happen. Would it?
Other new content we know a lot more about is the new world event for 10.2.5, the Azerothian Archives. And yes, it's a world event, I know, yes, but having played a bit of it on the PTR, I'd say it's probably the best type of world event, as in it's more like Time Rifts than Primalist Tomorrow or anything else, but especially Primalist Tomorrow. It happens on the half hour every hour, so it doesn't clash with Time Rifts, and it's the same sort of thing, flying around the Traitor's Rest area of Azur's Span, doing little tasks in the time limit to increase the reward you get when the boss appears at the end and you kill it. There's a cool dark recolor of the Refer a Friend Explorer set that can drop from those rewards, as well as a new Strider mount. And like Time Rifts, there is a vendor with other rewards to straight up buy with your new mysterious artifact currency, including another recolor of the Explorer set, and also there's some cool normie weapon transmogs, like the Candelabra, the grappling hook, flaming torches for when you go to the forums, a rope offhand that's particularly good, and some new backpacks too, as well as a Kodo mount. The currency is essentially account-wide, and there's a once per account weekly quest for a big chunk of it, as well as reputation with the new Archivists faction. As you'd expect, Blizz have promised us that the event scales with how many people are doing it at any one time, so it shouldn't matter if there's hundreds of players there or just you on your Todd. It should always feel more or less the same. I'm repeating Blizz's words there right now, that's not my words, and you know, we'll see I guess. But there are also some unknowns around this too, like what is that Archivists rep for? There are reportedly 5 levels of it, but we don't know what those different reputation levels reward yet, and why is that? Is it because It's a surprise. Could it have something to do with the scrying goggles and archaeology totem, which have full-on training quests outside the Azeroth Archives building, but which can't be played on the PTR because the items themselves can't yet be equipped? It seems likely it will have something to do with those, yes, and I got my fingers crossed that there will be some juicy lore to dig up using those goggles and that totem, because quite frankly, there's not really any in the group event, and I was really hoping for that. See, I told you there would be bad things as well.
There's also the new Night Elf capital Bel'ameth, which is kind of a capital village rather than a capital city right now, but in fairness, they've only been building it for like a month. This is technically an alliance city full of portals to exclusively Night Elf locations around Azeroth, but Horde players are welcome to as long as they don't cause any shit. There's loads of NPCs to chat to around here as you get to know the place, but weirdly, no quests sending you here specifically. It feels like the Epilogue quests will definitely do that. And in the meantime, there's loads of treasures that will appear on your map, which are just a bunch of cool Night Elf weapon transmogs for you to collect as you wander around. I like the spear, I like the shield. The horn is a bit weird. Like, don't hold your horn like that, dude. That's not how I wish you to hold your horn. Seriously, stop it. More new content, which is also kind of a quality of life improvement overall, follower dungeons. We talked about these loads already when they first hit the PTR last month. All Dragonflight normal mode dungeons can now be played solo, using computer-controlled characters to fill the other roles in your party. So from level 50, you can queue for any of the 8 leveling dungeons from this expansion as any role you like, safe in the knowledge that your tank isn't going to dash off and leave you behind, that your DPS won't shout at you for not healing them enough when they stand in the fire, or that anyone is going to give you hassle for tanking the instance at your own pace. The party is filled out with characters from Exile's Reach, and you can select between leading the party around yourself or following one of the NPCs who will lead the way as long as you stay in range of them. When this feature goes live, you'll have a limit of 10 dungeons you can run per day in this mode, but the implication is that this lockout will eventually be lifted. These follower dungeons are awesome. The scripting is really good. It feels like a great way for players who otherwise aren't comfortable with this kind of group content getting into them for the first time or trying a new class or role without the fear of letting a group down. And it would appear to pave the way for future expansions to have dungeons be a genuine part of the story campaign, since everyone can do them now. Also, they have great banter, and if you do a dance, they dance with you, which already makes them one of the best dungeon groups I've ever dungeoned with. This is only limited to normal level difficulty, and the XP gains aren't great, but I feel like if you are the core long-term audience for this feature, you already know you love the idea of follower dungeons, and I am happy to report that yes, they are really good. You are really going to like them.
Seeds of Renewal brings more Dragonriding content in the form of the Outland Cup, which, just like Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor before it, will have us completing races around the Burning Crusade zones to earn a new Dragon Racer transmog recolor, and even better, we finally get the scarf back pieces that got data mined like a year ago and everyone thought Blizzard forgot about. Nice! Although, in my humble opinion, at least one of those scarves should have been named after Patrick Bejart. If ever Patrick was going to get his own item in World of Warcraft, this seems like it should be the one. Another reward you can buy from the Outland Cup vendor is the Manuscript of Endless Possibilities that, when active, will randomize the appearance of your selected Dragonriding mount when you summon it. A manuscript I will obviously never use because I spend a lot of time and thought perfecting the appearance of all my drakes for all my characters to fit their RP fantasy, and I don't need the Manuscript of Endless Possibilities ticking that up. But you know, you might like it, whatever. And speaking of Dragonriding, that leads us rather nicely to quality of life improvements in 10.2.5, starting with one of the most significant changes in the history of the game, and that's not an exaggeration. Dragonriding is now possible in any zone where you can fly. Currently only available when you use your specific Dragonriding mounts, the dynamic flying of other mount types won't be coming until the War Within pre-patch, but diving and dashing around the old world feels incredible. It's one of the best things to happen to the game ever. Honestly, this is a 10 out of 10, 9 carat, grade A slam dunk, coffee creamer a massivest of massive mega dub right here. Dragonriding Anywhere but the Dragon Isles is at 85% speed, which I'm sure people will complain about literally forever, but honestly, and obviously this is only my own opinion based on my own experience, but if the icon hadn't appeared in my buff bar telling me it was only going 85%, I don't think I'd ever have known. It feels super fast and dynamic, and did I mention I love dynamic flying? I love dynamic flying. I might actually get my Lore Master finished finally now, I'm not even joking. In fact, bookmark this video, come back in 6 months and ask me if I've done my Lore Master now, because I bet I will have. And as we've also discussed before, Dracthyr finally get to become their own dragon riding mount. Their racial ability Soar has now been changed to basically be dragon riding but without needing a mount. It's like dragon being, I guess. It's actually kind of better than dragon riding because you get a huge takeoff jump to start, which is probably why Blizz gave the ability a totally arbitrary and meaningless cooldown of 10 seconds. Fair's fair. But the Dracthyr are finally free. I mean, not free from being only evokers or being the singular support spec mandatory for all serious dungeon content or for having completely useless transmog that you can't even see, but free from having to use mounts. Yay! And this hasn't got anything to do with the patch, but it is some top advice. Since we are now Dragonriding Everywhere, I would like to recommend to you one of the most game-changing add-ons in the whole of Dragonflight, and that is Keyboard Turner's Dragonriding add-on, which adds an extra velocity bar to your standard Dragonriding UI. It's absolutely amazing for just checking that you're always going as fast as you possibly can, and it was with the extra visual aid that this add-on gave me that I finally managed to master the Upward Ascent Flick trick, which is the key to absolutely bopping top speeds all of the time and nailing all Dragonriding races ever. If you like, I can explain that to you on stream sometime, but I cannot recommend this add-on enough, seriously. You'll thank me for that, and everything else. But there's more! New troll and Draenei customizations. Basically just hair colors for trolls and the cool dark skin tone for space goats, so there's no troll beards, because I know that's what you were thinking of, and I'm sorry, trolls. The Revival Catalyst will now recharge weekly instead of every other week. A bunch of Shadowlands Covenant abilities that have become legit parts of class talent trees have had their visual effects changed to be less Covenanty and more classy. Like class specific, but also classy. They look nice. And new Tuskarr customization options for Pepe. As one of 4 new Pepes you can find around the world. Wowhead has an article with a complete list of their locations and coordinates, which we are relinking in the description below, along with other articles which go into lots more detail on loads of the stuff that we have discussed today. So if you want to dig a bit deeper on any of this stuff, go check those out. Welcome back, fam. It's nice to be back on whatever screen you're watching us on. I hope you had a good holiday period and new year, and that you're ready for the hot new WoW action. It's going to be our pleasure to bring it to you. We'll be talking all about 10.25 and whatever that secret stuff is in our podcast on Thursday, which you can watch live on this channel, or, you know, later, not live on this channel, or listen to on any of your podcasting platforms. If there's any cinematics worth talking about, we'll be doing cinematic analysis, of course. We're streaming every day over on Twitch as well. 2024 is going to be a big year for World of Warcraft, and we cannot wait. Looking forward to see you there. If you like this episode, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And guys, seriously, thank you, because without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it, and remember, my name is Kalani. No, my name is Taliesin, from me and Evitel and Adniran and Penny and everyone else as well. Cheerio!